What's up, YouTube? Thanks for tuning in to A Hero's Escape, your place for all things HEROSCAPE. Today I've got another lore video for you. This is going to be Thormun's Journal Chapter 3. And again, once I get through all of Thormun's journal entries, I will be probably doing a comprehensive lore video. So I won't waste too much time because this is the longest chapter. In fact, the heading here says the third chapter of Thormun's journals is by far the longest chapter, with many elaborate entries written by Colby Douch. I don't know how that's said. Douch, I think. I don't know. It details Thormun's journeys to convince Vidar and Einar to join the alliance against Utgar, as well as a major battle between the forces of Jandar and Utgar. So we should be in for a good one this time. This might be one of my best lore videos so far, one of the most interesting. I'm going to throw in my quick ad here. My fantasy novel, The Price of Renewal, is available on Amazon in paperback, hardcover, and ebook. So please go check that out. I will try to remember to put the link in the description. Sometimes I forget. But anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this very long journal entry. This should definitely be a good one. Alright, here we go. At the very beginning, we have journal entry number 21 is the beginning of chapter 3. Inscribed by Thormun of Teleron on this, the third day of Randveg. I do not know what that is, but hopefully we'll find out. I write here by the glow of candlelight. The halls of Ular stands in eerie silence, devoid of the busy comings and goings of the day. The only sound is that of the walls moaning in rebellion against Randveg's wind. And here we're going to find out what Randveg is real quick because I have no idea. Okay, continuing. So I have a picture of this. It's a really blurry picture, so I apologize. But we're going to use this for our reference here. This is the glyph of Randveg, and the inscription says, all figures with the flying special power lose this power and cannot fly while standing on the glyph of Randveg. See, okay, so that's what it does. So we know, and this is when they actually were coming out with cards for glyphs, apparently. I've never gotten anything HEROSCAPE with a card that says what the glyph does. But we know that Randveg is some type of a storm or something that is affecting the Valkyrie to not be able to fly. Okay, here we're going to continue. Sleep evades me. I am endlessly plagued by horrific nightmares. The moon has been reborn in the night sky thrice since last I caught more than a few hours of restless slumber. I fear these terrors are anything but ordinary. They have all too familiar a feel for that. Visions! That is what they are, remnants of the wellspring's drink. Though they lack the clarity they once had when the magical waters were still fresh upon my lips, they are nonetheless fearsome. So full of dark and foreboding symbolism are these visions that their meaning escapes me. I can tell no one about them for fear that others may think I am losing my grip on sanity, and word of my madness will find its way to the ears of Jandar. Or Handar. Someone mentioned in the comments that we're pronouncing that wrong. It might be Handar. I'm not entirely sure. I cannot be discharged from duty. I will not allow myself to be helplessly unable to do my part in resolving the conflict that I started when I first sipped those intoxicating waters. So I retreat here to the pages of my journal, keeping it near, trusting to it my closest secrets. The waters still call to me, but I must resist, for drinking would have grave consequences. That much of these cryptic visions is clear. In my nightmare, I was a wolf. I felt as a wolf would feel, thought as a wolf would think. My senses stood on end. I could taste and smell even the slightest change in the air. From out of the sky soared a large and noble-looking bird, a mighty eagle, its wingspan 6 feet or more across. The eagle landed beside me, unafraid of my sharp fangs and formidable claws. With eyes as pools of wisdom and insight, The bird looked over my dark and well-muscled canine form. It tilted its head as if to say, "Come, follow me." And then, with a graceful leap and a thrust of its powerful wings, the bird was once again airborne. I ran after it, moving fast, very fast. We soon came upon a hidden spring, and the bird landed at my side. This was no ordinary pool of water. It was a wellspring, one I had never seen before. The bird nodded. It beckoned me to drink. I moved forward slowly, closing my eyes. I lowered my head and lapped up the cool water. It felt intensely relieving, like taking in air after a long stay underwater. Then suddenly, the water grew warm and its taste altogether different. When I opened my eyes, I saw that the water had turned a dark red. I turned and looked for the eagle, but instead saw a swaying cobra. Its eyes were as rubies. In them I saw my own reflection, the reflection of a wolf flashing an evil grin, its maw dripping with the crimson liquid of the tainted wellspring. Journal entry number 22. Inscribed by Thormun of Teleron on this the 8th day of Ranveg. Our company rode away from the hospitality and cozy dwellings of Lord Olar 3 sunrises ago. We travel along the coast of the Bitter Sea, whose sunrises are particularly spectacular. The sky is painted with shades of amber and pink as if by the great brushstrokes of a mighty hand. However, for all the beauty of the sea, she is poor company to keep this time of year. Winds blow in from across her surface. They dig their way through layers of fabric and bite down with bitter teeth. Alongside me ride Kelda, Konkan, Tyrian, 6 of Olar's protectors, Kyrie warriors bearing pistol-like crossbows, and the noble Beldun. Olar's right hand. And the noble Beldun, Olar's right hand. Beldun carries himself proudly, but greets all that I've seen him encounter with great respect and a bright, infectious grin. Pulling on the reins of his horse, Beldun turns to face the rest of the party. There, he points down the coastline. There is the newly built stronghold on the horizon. The young warriors that surround me are a constant reminder of my age. Try as I might, I can't make out the sight that the rest of them gaze upon. If I were still drinking of the wellsprings, I would have been the first to spot the stronghold. From this distance, I would be able to count the number of stone blocks used in its construction. We approach the site of the stronghold, which is bustling with noise. Workers shout out orders as large stone bricks are hoisted into place. Sword, shield, and other such devices of war clank and clatter while soldiers of varying worlds and times scurry about in preparation for battle. A young-looking raven-haired elf greets us with a slight bow of his head. Atlaga is eager to speak with you, the elf states soberly. We are ushered into a stone-walled room lit by streams of light pouring through several arrow-slit windows in the eastern wall. The space is empty, but for a large wooden table in the center of the room, on which various pieces of parchment and scrolls are strewn. Several advisors are gathered around a tall Olarian captain at the far end of the table. They are pointing at a map and are engaged in a fervent debate. The Kyrie captain emanates an air of confidence. He is a war-torn and wears a breastplate bearing the symbol of Olar. At his side hangs a pistol-like crossbow, not unlike those carried by Olar's protectors. The captain looks up as we enter. "Ah, you've made it. I hope your trip was a safe one." With a smile and a bow, Beldun responds, "Our trip was entirely uneventful, Atlaga. It is good to see your face again, old friend." I am glad to see you unharmed as well, Beldun," says Atlaga, as he clasps a hand onto Beldun's shoulder. "I'll keep this short, so you can spend the evening resting and replenish yourselves for your ride to Vidar's castle. As you know, swarms of Utgar's ghastly Morrow creatures are pouring into Ekstrom from right here at the southernmost end of our borders. We had assumed that the Morrow were coming in from Anund, which could only mean it had been utterly overrun. However, we have come to find this is not true, which is both sweet and bitter news. While Vidar may still hold out against Utgard in Anund, the spot from which the Morrow are really coming from is worse yet. We have discovered that a chain of underwater volcanoes north of the Valkyrian wastelands have erupted. The erupting volcanoes have formed a land bridge all the way down to the once inaccessible jungles below the wastelands. That is where the Morrow are coming from. It seems that Utgard found this bridge into the jungle before we did, or has found another way into the jungle and is growing a force there. Now, with news reaching us of Jondar's vision of well springs in the jungle, we fear the worst. Journal entry 23. Inscribed by Thormun of Telerin on this, the 9th day of Randvag. Our party spent the day traveling westward from Olar's new stronghold on the coast of the Bitter Sea, and we have now made our way into Anund. Once before, in the days of my youth, I traveled here to this beautiful place. The land was green and lush. Scattered across Anund were quaint little villages filled with stunning homes built right into their surroundings. Hills and trees were left where they were, and the towns were adapted to fit the nature's architecture. We have passed 2 such villages today, but they are not what they once were. It made me want to weep for the people who once called those places home, where a proud gathering of buildings once stood, now only a husk of a town remains, a barren shell lacking what makes a town. People. They had been abandoned for some time, and were in a state of decay. The homes were overgrown and crumbling. No life remained there. Dusk is now upon us as we approach the third of Anund's once beautiful villages. This one appears to be in the same state as the others. We are all following Beldun, who knows more about this area than any of the others. He leads us right up to the abandoned village, suggesting that we take harbor from the harsh seasonal winds of Randvag by making camp in one of the buildings here. As we ride into town, the hooves of our horses clatter against the stone-paved street. The sound reverberates off of the empty domiciles and echoes back at us in a ghostly voice. We are all on edge, our senses in a heightened state. Suddenly, one of the horses is spooked and rears whinnying sharply, ending its cry in a snort. My head goes on a swivel, being spooked a little myself. As I look about, I see a flash of movement duck into one of the empty buildings ahead. "Something's up ahead there," I alert the others as I jump from my horse and spread my wings flying after the movement. It's interesting they can fly when the winds of Randvag are going on. Anyway, continue. Landing, I walk through the door that the flash retreated into. It's dark, too dark to see anything. I shout out, "Hello? Is someone there? Hello?" I see a strike of flint and then a torch leap to life. What that flaming torch illuminates makes my heart jump in my chest. Gathered around is some 15 or so huddled Kiri. Their clothes are torn and dirty. Fear lay in their eyes. A small Kiri child is in its mother's arms, crying as she rocks it. Standing in front of them all, holding the torch and a spear, is a young Kiri man. He shouts, "Get out of here!" I try to explain that I mean them no harm, but before I can get the words out, he hurls the spear at me. I dodge it narrowly and back out of the door. The others from my party are behind me, having come to my aid. "Get on your horses," I tell them. "We're not staying here." They try to object. I reply, "There is nothing we can do for these people right now, except leave them be." Even as the words escape my mouth, the young man is out of the door, waving his torch threateningly. "We're going," I say to defuse him. As we hop on our mounts and ride out of town, the spear is hurled after us. The young man shouts, "And don't come back, you warmongers." Warmongers? Is this really the world we live in now? So full of fear, hate, and mistrust? Where have the people of these villages gone, and what has got those who remain so afraid that they'll sooner put a spear through a man's chest than hear what he has to say? It doesn't look as though the villages were pillaged or taken by any force, just abandoned. Woo! This is a long one, sure enough. On to journal entry number 24. From the pen of Sergeant Drake Alexander, the hero of HEROSCAPE. We are camped among the ruins of Stethaven. Its stone pillars and fallen walls act as a window into the past of this strange world. The lifeless eyes of a weather-worn face stare out at me from among the ruins. Those eyes of stone belonging to some abandoned and broken statue are a haunting sight. This is my second war. Both wars fought for a righteous cause, both enemies ruthless and vile. And yet even now, as I fight against the most horrific of monsters and demons, one thing remains the same: the eyes. The look of overwhelming fear and desperation in every set of dying eyes. And yet, the gut-churning feeling I get when I look into those eyes is the very same feeling that keeps me here on the front line. Some other set of eyes is counting on me to keep the sparkle of life and freedom alive in them. Stethaven is a tactical bottleneck. Mountain ranges surrounded on both sides, forcing Utgar to march his army right through here in order to flood Nostrland with his troops and take the grand city of Valgrind. I am told that if Valgrind falls, so does all of Valhalla. That city is the last great place of freedom on this war-torn planet, and if it breaks, so does any hope of winning this war. Now, for the first time since I was sent down here to lead the forces at Stethaven, we have a chance to win this fight and scatter the encroaching army of Utgar. Utgar believes we are all tapped out. His forces have cut away at our numbers by engaging us in battle after battle over the last several weeks. But finally, the tides are changing. The Kiri, Salen, brings a large army of reinforcements from Jondar's newest ally. Not only that, but Jondar has also managed to summon reinforcements of his own. Earlier today, I was caught off guard by the thunder of hoofs coming from an unexpected direction. I reached for my binoculars to take a closer look and discovered a sea of white and red. Mounted knights rode towards us, garbed in white tabards, bearing red crosses. As they approached the camp, the man at their lead put a hand in the air. The many knights who followed him pulled back on leather reins, bringing their horses to an obedient halt. The Templar's leader stepped down from his proud steed and removed his helmet, holding it in the crook of his arm as he walked towards me, his armor clanking with every step. He extended a gauntlet-encased hand, proclaiming, "Sir Dupuis, Sir Dupuis? Is that really the name? Dupuis? Dupuis, Sir Dupuis, and the Templar Knights at your service. Tomorrow we go on the offensive. We strike at Utgar while he least expects it." Journal entry number 25, again from the pen of Sergeant Drake Alexander. We have traveled by the light of the moon along a dangerously narrow mountain path. A select few are with me, some of my best warriors. The sun breaks over the horizon, and with it comes a new day, a day that won't soon be forgotten. While still climbing through the last stretch of this winding pass, I can hear the clatter of battle rise from the valley below. It is our troops assaulting Utgar's camp. Their attack is only a ploy. The plan is beginning to unfold. The attacking force, led by Thorgrim and Finn, the Viking brothers, catches the enemy off guard, and then, just as Utgar's army musters their forces, the Viking brothers turn and retreat. The Utgarians take the bait. Their forces charge after the retreating soldiers, thinking the attack was some desperate and ill-conceived attempt at victory. Utgar's army believes that today is the day they will triumph over Jondar's dwindling forces. They could not be more wrong. When the retreating troops reach the foot of Stethaven, they turn and charge back upon their enemy. An enemy that outnumbers them more than 20 to 1. I can picture it now. the rows of Grutt archers howling in laughter as they let loose their arrows at the command of pacing swag riders, the great troll stampeding forward, his oversized sword swinging back and forth in deadly strokes, the grin worn by minions of Utgar as they lick at their teeth in anticipation of the coming slaughter. But the slaughter will be their own. From over Stetchhaven's hilltop flies a soul-Kiri warrior. She lifts a spear above her head and with a mighty battle cry thrusts it to the ground. There, at the point of the spear's strike, a towering giant appears, charging with sword in hand. A dozen more Kiri fly over the hilltop, then 2 dozen, then 4. This gives pause to Utgar's forces for only a moment, and then laughter. Pathetic, not nearly enough to matter. They speak too soon, for in the very next moment, over the hilltop and among their ranks, ride the Templar cavalry, and just as quickly the swarming forces of Olar's Viper army join the fray. Utgar's army falls to chaos and is swept away by the frenzy of Vipers and charging knights. Victory belongs to us, but not without its costs. Rumors have been stirring that Utgar himself has come, in his arrogance, to be here when his forces break through into Nostraland. Now is my opportunity. This is our chance to take that tyrant down. And so, under the cover of night and during the long battles of this day, I've led my small band of soldiers through the hidden mountain pass. Our purpose is to enter Utgar's camp while his soldiers are out at war. Fight our way through his personal guard and destroy Utgar himself. I scan the western perimeter of Utgar's camp with the aid of my binoculars. 2 of Utgar's minions stand guard. With a movement of my hand, I signal the pair of Omnicron snipers who traveled with us. The Solborgs move in unison and fire on each of the minions with a deadly precision. We stream into the camp in pairs, splitting off among the black tents in search of the evil Valkyrie general. Paired with me is Shotgun Sullivan, and I'm glad for it. We've become quick friends since meeting here in Valhalla, and I trust the man with my life. Shotgun makes a low whistle to get my attention. "We've got trouble," he whispers, nodding up ahead. From around a tent stalk 3 ravenous wolves, sniffing the air. These are not the werewolf-looking types we've encountered before. These ones crawl on all 4s. Looking up, the wolves spot us, their eyes lighting up in anticipation of their newly discovered meal. Snarled lips twist up, baring sharp teeth. The wolves spring at us. Sullivan reacts quickly, peppering them with shotgun spray. 2 of them drop. The 3rd releases a warning howl cut short by my sword. It's too late. The camp is astir. Our cover is blown. Journal entry number 26 from the pen of Sergeant Drake Alexander. Utgar's soldiers swarm about the camp. Chaos breaks out, but our troops are keeping their wits about them and dealing with the situation. Sullivan and I drive deeper into the disorganized scattering of blackened tents. The air here is so thick with foul stench that I can taste it. The last bit of sun ducks down under the horizon, and the stars begin sparking to life. We've all but cleared out the immediate threats, but still no one has spotted any sign of Utgar's presence here, nor the presence of any of his leaders. A blood-curdling scream breaks through the dusky silence. Now again, from another direction comes a piercing scream. I look over to meet Sullivan's eyes. In unspoken agreement, we both head in the direction of the last scream. Rounding a tent, we set eyes upon one of the MacDurks. The sight turns my stomach. He lies on the ground, twisted up into an unnatural position, his face frozen in complete terror, his entire body a ghostly white as if drained of all blood. Another scream rings out from behind. I twist on my heels in time to see another of our soldiers fall as a flash of black and red jumps away, up over a tent and out of sight. I sprint in the direction the blur headed, Sullivan following closely behind. Frantically, I dart out from behind one tent after another, finding nothing. My lungs burn for oxygen. I stop to catch my breath, pulling in air in haggard gasps, hands on my knees. Son of a... Oh, sorry. Son of a... Like son of a... We all know what he's saying. I've lost Sullivan. I turn looking for my partner, but what I find standing behind me makes my heart stop. Overwhelming fear seeks to overtake me as a tall figure wrapped in a cape stalks forward slowly. Why am I not reacting? I should be drawing my blade. I can't move. I grind down on my teeth, forcing my mouth to close and my brow to furrow in rage. I swallow down the fear and draw my blade just as the monster reaches a bony hand out for my throat. Moving like lightning, the dark-haired man's cape is all my sword catches, as he leaps backwards with inhuman speed and strength. Now his full form is revealed. He wears armor of red and black. Hanging at his sides are two large, nasty-looking blades. His face is a pale white like that of his victims. A slow smile crosses his visage, revealing a set of fanged teeth. With a low and soothing voice he speaks, "We meet at last." I don't know how I would talk. We meet at last. I have no idea. Sergeant Drake Alexander of Earth. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Lord Cyprian Essenwine. And I've come... Essenwine, I'm guessing this is a vampire. Yes. It appears to be some sort of a vampire. I am Lord Cyprian Essenwine, and I've come... I don't give a rip who you are. I fire at him with my grappling gun. He turns and leans to one side, narrowly avoiding my projectile. Well, away with the formalities, then. Cyprian ducks forward, and with a jump and a twist, he dives at me faster than I can react. Mid-air, and in the blink of an eye, he draws a sword into each hand, spins to one side, and strikes. Both blades sliding along my right arm at the shoulder. The arm goes numb. I drop my sword. His face is inches from mine. His black holes for eyes swallow my soul. I look into my own death. My head swims. My will gives way. Looking up. Looking up, I see that the moon is full. Silhouetted against the moonlight is the form of an angel come to take me away. All goes black. When I awake, my senses are overloaded with bright light and extreme pain. I reach for my wounded shoulder, but a soft hand holds on to mine. She leans her head forward and blocks out the sun. My eyes adjust to see her face. Raylan, it was you. You were my angel. Your what? Never mind. How is it to you? How is it you took on the pale-skinned fellow? I wasn't alone. He flew off when he spotted us, faster than the wind that one is. But I sent with him a spear wound as a parting gift. Ha! The laughter brings a new swell of pain. My arm! Is it going to be alright? Our new friend Zedekron here has an answer for you. When he's done patching you up, we need to make haste to Anund on orders of Jandar. Great trouble is stirring there. Jandar's visions turn toward the jungles of the south. Whew, that was a long one. So, Sergeant Drake Alexander, that is when he lost his arm, and Zedekron, the Soulborg, creates a metal arm for him, the grappling arm, as we know from Swarm of the Morrow. This reading is getting rough. I might have to divide this into 2 videos, but I don't want to, because there's plenty of other journals to be reading. So anyway, this one is journal entry number 27. I think if this goes too long, I will split it. But here it says, inscribed by Thormun of Teleron on this, the 11th day of Randveg. So Thormun is writing again. The rusty outer gate squeals on its hinges, breaking through the ominous silence that surrounds this place. The gates are tall and thick, their designs are intricate and beautiful, but they no longer serve their purpose. The lock is broken. One of the gate doors hangs on by a single hinge. With a push, the door squeals open. The only resistance it meets is the tall yellowed grass and weeds it must push its way through. In the fading light of dusk, I can still make out that the stonework is crumbling. Vines cling to everything. This is the once magnificent Montfer Manor, home of the Valkyrie Vidar. Aha! We're getting to Vidar, and I actually have a picture of Vidar that I can hopefully put on here. Anyway, as we trudge our way through the overgrown courtyard, I can't help but get the overwhelming suspicion that we're being watched. The whole place looks completely abandoned, just like all the towns and villages that came before. As we approach the door, it swings open, seemingly of its own accord. Standing there in the doorframe is a tall, dark-haired Kiri. He holds onto a lantern which spreads just enough light to illuminate his rough face. "Lord Vidar awaits," croaks the lantern-wielding Kiri. He acts as if our unannounced visit has long been expected, but only 2 of you will enter. It is agreed amongst ourselves that I will go representing Jondar and Beldun will go as Olar's representative. Beldun and I are led through several dark and dusty halls and corridors by the light of the dark-haired Kiri's lantern. After several twists and turns, we are led through a set of oaken doors into a larger-than-average room. The room is windowless, but is lit by a row of lanterns along each of its walls, the flickering flames of which cause dozens of shadows to dance about. At the far end of the room sits a large dark figure on a raised platform. His wings are great black feathered things. His chin rests propped against a muscled arm. After ushering ourselves as close as comfort will allow, the seated Kiri raises his head and begins to speak in a low and growling voice. "Why have you come here, Thormun, son of Seneveg, and Beldun, son of Beldar?" I clear my voice, preparing to speak, but am cut short as Beldun steps forward and drops to a knee, saying, "I come representing my lord Olar. He wishes to extend to you his hand in friendship." I remain standing but echo Beldun, "And I come in the name of Jondar, who too wishes to pursue a mutual friendship." Vidar leans forward, his face now in the light. Along his right eye runs a large scar. His square jaw bears the shadow of a beard. His long black hair crowds in around his weathered face. In a slow, purposefully enunciated and irritated tone, he replies, "And what makes Jondar and Olar think I am in need of friends?" "We have traveled through your land. We have seen its decay. We only wish to—" Vidar cuts Beldun short. "You only wish to what? To change the flow of our rivers? Water to move upstream? The water that feeds our land runs out of Upper Bleakwood and Austriac. It has become tainted by Utgar's hordes, vile and disgusting creatures. They plague the land with their filth." And I can't keep this up. I gotta do a normal voice. "And my own people turn against me. They blame me for this. Fools! They believe that we can simply escape war by running from it. They've retreated south into Kinsland, beyond my protective reach. I've been abandoned by my own people. My land is dying, and my armies wear thin, trying to wrest control of the water source from Utgar. Now, what is it you think I have to offer your mutual friendship?" We cannot afford to lose Vidar at any cost. I speak with hardly a thought to the tone of my words. "You of all people are not blind to the events unfolding on Valhalla. I know your eyes and ears reach much further than your arms in these dark days. What do you think will happen if the rising Morrow threat breaks through Olar's blockade in southern Ekstrom? Utgar threatens to surround you on all sides. You are fighting a war you cannot win alone. Send aid to Ekstrom, and we will dispatch troops to your cause in Austriac. Both fights will be to your own benefit." Beldun flashes me a look of concern. I know his thought. I have no authority to commit troops to Vidar's aid, but Jondar will understand. He must. It's our only chance to get Vidar to join our cause. There is a long pause as Vidar's dark eyes dig into me. There is no telling what he is thinking, but the fact that he is thinking about it at all works in our favor. Finally, he breaks the silence. So be it. At daybreak, a faction of my troops will march to Olar's aid. I don't know if I can do it. I think I have to split the video right here. So that is going to be the end of, this is Thormun's Journal number... This is Thormun's Journal Chapter 3, Part 1. And I will do Thormun's Journal Chapter 3, Part 2 in the next lore video. This is just too long for me to get through it all. But, yeah, moving on, we'll be at Journal Entry number 28, and that's pretty close to halfway through Chapter 3. So there's a lot left. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe for more HEROSCAPE content. If you're liking the HEROSCAPE lore, definitely hit the subscribe button. I don't know about you guys, but I actually did not even realize that there was this much lore. In fact, I kind of knew there was like these like online writings like this, the Thormun's Journal stuff. I just didn't realize how much there actually was to it. There's a lot of lore here. So when I finally do my comprehensive lore video, I will be sure to cover a lot of this stuff because there's some pretty interesting stuff here. The lore is surprisingly rich. But anyway, thanks again for watching, and like and subscribe, and HEROSCAPE signing off.